Hey, welcome back. This is the second episode of the CX Mixer podcast. Today's episode is Power Moves in CX, Scaling Big with Small Teams. On today's episode, we had Nancy, the Director of Customer Experience for Caraway, and Daniel, the Head of E-commerce at Carpe. We got into a lot of fun topics today on how to scale with a small team. We talked about outsourcing call centers, leveraging flows in your help desk platform, how to break up with your customer, and which technologies they like and they don't like. It's a great episode full of lots of information and some fun, so let's jump right in. Hey guys, welcome to the CX Mixer podcast. The idea is today we're going to shake things up with the standard customer experience playbook. I've got a couple powerhouses with me today. I'm joined by Nancy from Caraway and Daniel from Carpe. And we're going to be diving into how these brands deliver premium CX without massive teams or big budgets. And I think just smart systems, scrappy mindset, and serious creativity. So you guys, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
And Nancy, I feel like I've known you for over a year now, right? We met at, was it Manifest?
It was Manifest, February of 2024.
So like if anybody's been to a CX Mixer, they know I love this this tiki bar in Vegas. And that all started with like getting to know Nancy. She like showed up at our booth. She was like, hey, I'm in town for like 24 hours. I was like, meet me at this tiki bar. She didn't show up. And so then I had to track her and a bunch of people down at Caesar's Palace. And then like obviously got to know Nancy pretty well with her team that night. Like you guys are all about customer experience. I think the thing that made me know that Nancy and I were going to be friends was you took your jacket off and you're like covered in tattoos. And I was like, oh, okay. So like she's got her customer service side and then she's got a little bit of a wild side.
You make me feel so cool, Larry. But yeah.
And now, how long have you been at Caraway?
I've been at Caraway for a little over 4 years now.
And how big is the CX team at Caraway today?
I feel like it's massive, but in reality, we are 7 internal employees and we have 35 outsourced agents. So small and mighty.
And the outsourced agents are with your BPO, right?
Yes. So we have outsourced agents across Mexico, the Philippines, and South Africa.
Nice. And Daniel and I met at Sub Summit. And I actually thought it was super funny. You came to my breakfast and I think you brought your co-founder. And I totally ignored your co-founder because I had no clue who he was. And I just ended up chatting with you the whole time, connected you with my buddy Logan. And then afterwards, I'm on TikTok and I'm like scrolling through and I was like, hey, this is the guy from our breakfast this morning. And he's like pitting out in a Target. And now all I ever see are him like stopping random girls at concerts, like going up to people that are like super sweaty and being like, hey, you need Carpe.
Yes. He is like 80% of our ads right now. That's his full-time job, I think. It's just filming ads.
User-generated content.
Cool. Employee-generated content. So that is the new, I think UGC has kind of fallen off just a little bit, and we've been moving a lot more towards what we call EGC.
Now, Daniel, how big is the team at Carpe when it comes to CX?
So internally, throughout like all of the marketing team, we have 20 of us who are all in office in Durham, North Carolina. And offshore size is similar to Caraway. We have 27 offshore agents, all in the Philippines.
Nice. And I think we talked about this a little bit before. Like, as much as Carpe is a beauty brand, there's a little bit of like a health side to it, right? Because you guys are solving a problem as much as you're providing like a service for beauty, right? Like it's people who have sweat issues.
Yes, exactly.
So I feel like you have a ton, probably between the two of you, you probably have some wild customer experience or customer service stories. So I'm excited to kind of jump into those today. And I think, the big thing for me, the reason why I wanted to get you guys and, anybody who's watching this is probably like, okay, cookware, deodorant. But I think like just getting to know you both over the last year, you both are super passionate about kind of your brands and the experience you're providing. And I think Caraway's been doing this for a while. Carpe is growing quickly. Like we were just talking about, you guys are selling out like crazy. You're all over TikTok, right? So I think I'm kind of excited to talk a little bit more about how you guys are tackling this with the teams that you have. And I think maybe Nancy, like quick for you and then kick it over to you, Daniel. But like, what does doing more with less mean in your world?
Being as efficient as possible. So it's figuring out how to, like you said in the beginning, wear 6 different hats and get everything done within the time frame that you have, while having fun with it. I try to be as stressless as possible, which is ironic because I'm an anxiety-driven person. But with our team, we find everyone's strong suit and kind of really push them to follow that path. I don't like, and I've never necessarily liked, making someone do something that, one, they don't enjoy, but 2, you kind of know they're not good at. Like, if you know someone's just not the best at it, find someone who is and kind of switch it around until you get the perfect match for every task that you have.
Is there something in CX that you're not the best at? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, yeah. It depends on who we're talking to the day. You never know. Like, if it's a phone call, I'll say I might not be the best agent for that. I will stay on the phone for like 5 minutes, and after that, if it's just like repetitively the same thing, that's where my skills might go down a little bit. Not saying I'm bad or anything, but that would probably be one thing I don't necessarily enjoy doing.
Daniel, so for you guys, what does doing more with less mean for Carpe?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just that we've tried to keep the team as small as possible, especially the offshore team, because as we get more agents, it's just more chaotic, right? So you have to train new agents. They're all in different periods of training time and different times of the year. So we've really tried to keep that team as small as possible and just increase efficiencies. So, as many macros as we can have, trying to auto respond to as many tickets as we can that are, easy. And then also kind of what you said, Nancy, like putting agents in the right spot for what they're doing best. Because a lot of agents aren't very good at like subscription win back, but others can be better at, product recommendations and just knowing the product better. So trying to split up our teams and get the tickets tagged correctly into the right view so that all the different teams can work more efficiently.
I think what's interesting, I was creeping on your LinkedIn here, Daniel, like you don't have a CX background, right? You started as like a tech person.
Yes.
Do you think that that's kind of like when we talk about wearing multiple hats, is that like sort of what Carpe is? Like you were doing tech and now you're like, hey, how about CX? Or how'd that happen?
Yeah, it's funny. So for the longest time at Carpe, I had nothing to do with customer service. Customer service is all under operations. And I feel like this is where a lot of companies start, is they just put customer service under operations. They want to increase the efficiency as much as they can, reduce the cost as much as they can. And when we started to become more of a subscription brand, we realized that we can actually spend a little bit more to start to win back customers, right? And turn your CX into a profit center, less of a cost center. So that's what I took over, is because all of the customers going through the website are the ones reaching out to us. And I know the experience better than anyone at the company. So it just made sense for me to kind of take that on and try to find some efficiencies with subscription win backs. And then, everything in that realm.
Daniel, what CRM are you on? Are we allowed to ask that?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Your workflows and rules routing must be the most insane thing on the back end. Coming from an engineering background,
I've set up a lot of rules. I think we probably have 100 right now of just like tickets going to different places. I just launched something recently where I noticed that when customers would reach out, it would just have like the subject line that it came to us with, which is like contact form submitted. And so whenever we replied, it would just have the same subject line. And I'm like, why don't we make these subject lines like what their ticket is about? And so now we have a bunch of rules that are related to like, if it has this tag, use this subject line in response. So then just makes it a little bit of a better experience.
Ooh, I like that. Very
I like, there we go. Right away. We haven't even gotten the first segment. We already got like
our
actionable idea. No, I think that was like an awesome segue, because the first segment here is the CX playbook, right? So the idea is, what's one specific tactic? Now you've said one, Daniel, so you have to think of another one, right? So what's one specific tactic you've used recently to drive a better experience for your customers with a small team? So while Daniel thinks of another one, I'll put you on the spot there, Nancy. What's like a tactic that you guys are doing? Something from your playbook.
Something from our playbook. Well, we are implementing AI Copilot for our customer experience team. So giving them a bit of resources that they can use in their day-to-day to be more efficient. Most people are going to think it's like, okay, workflows and efficiencies, and you're trying to reduce X, Y, and Z. Honestly, I'm trying to keep my agents from going insane and retain them for longer. So I'm trying to invest in them so they can invest in us a bit more. I don't know if that's necessarily a playbook, but oftentimes we talk about strategies on how to help the customers and we forget about the people behind it. And I'm very big on the agents and making sure that they're happy and as stress-free as possible because I want them to want to come to work. I personally think customer experience is like an insane job. It's so much fun. I hope one day little kids are growing up like, I want to be in customer experience so bad. I didn't know what e-com was when I was younger. We need to expose the youngings to it, but I think that's one kind of special thing about Caraway that we're trying to do in our playbook itself.
Like, do you have like a specific story or like a result that you've seen from this rollout or that you're hoping to see?
I am hoping to see more efficiencies and catching a bit more of our trends that are going on. I think, rather, I believe when you're setting up your help desk, right now, Caraway is candidly in the middle of a switch of help desks, which is pretty fun. So Daniel, I might have to pick your brain on some ideas over there. But I'm trying to make it so agents, when they're adding tags, it's all almost as automated as possible based on keywords so that they don't have to go through a list of tags. Within CX, you're producing reports for all of the departments, especially for a company that cares about VOC. And during the holiday season, I sat down as an agent like I do every year, and it took me like 3 minutes to add all the tags. And I was like, this is terrible. I hate doing it. So imagine someone who has to do it every single day for months and months and months. They probably hate it too. So that's where I came into. I had to find the right AI to help us with this. And thankfully, we did get a good AI pilot that is going to help our agents reduce that one manual part of their job, which is probably 1 to 3 minutes, of every ticket, improving our response times naturally, their handling times, but also just taking off one of those stressors that they really don't need to worry about.
Do you want to name drop the pilot?
Not yet.
Okay. Ooh, so secret.
I'd like to be secretive until it's fully launched,
Yeah, I get that. That's why I have you on the podcast here. So for sure. Okay, Daniel, back on for you then. What is something in your playbook?
One thing that I built that was really cool with Gorgeous that you can do is they connect with Recharge. So we use Recharge for our subscriptions, and 80% of our tickets are about subscriptions. And so right now, like the way that it was connected was all you could do was cancel, right? From Gorgeous side. So a customer service agent, all they could do to help the customer was cancel their subscription, which isn't very good from our perspective. Like,
yeah, right.
Most of the customers honestly reaching out, like who said, hey, I want to cancel my subscription. Hey, cancel. They all like the product, right? And so the issue that we found wasn't the product. It was just that they all had different usage patterns. And so they either had too much or didn't have enough, or, maybe it was just a little bit too expensive. And so now we've built integrations with Recharge so that agents can change the frequency of their subscription, delay their next order to a certain date, change the price, all within Gorgeous. So they don't have to like go into Recharge, sign in, find the customer and do it all there. It just cuts off like 30 seconds to a minute per ticket, which when you're doing as many tickets as we are, it really adds up. So
I think that's, talking about like that revenue retention piece, right? When you say like, hey, these cancellations of subscriptions, I talked to a ton of brands lately around how returns and exchanges are a way, you want to be able to give a customer a way to cancel their subscription, return their product. But as a brand, you also want to retain that revenue. And I think where Caraway and Carpe has a lot of overlap is you're both educating customers. Like I just know from talking with Nancy, like people buy their pans and they think it should be nonstick the moment they take it out of the, which it kind of is. Like I think when I got my pans, I text you, I was like, you don't even need to put oil in this. You were like, please put oil in your pan or put like a little bit of something, right? But I feel like how much of your guys' customer experience is educating the customer on what the product is, what it's supposed to do, and like how important do you think that is in saving sales? Nancy, maybe you want to take that first, or Daniel, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think it's major. So on the Caraway end, I'm really lucky that I work extremely closely with our digital product team. So as we're getting, and it's such a weird world where in customer experience, you're technically dealing with all the negative that's happening within the company. On my end, what I like to do is take that and turn it into all the positives. So it's like, okay, we're getting this post-purchase question or complaint rather. And it's because perhaps on the website experience itself, we missed this detail or this direction, and we should have it, right there in front of the customer before they buy. it doesn't necessarily stop anyone from buying. It just prevents them from reaching out afterwards. So a lot of what I do is take that customer feedback and work with all of our teams to create those educational moments, because especially when somebody wants your product, social media has done Caraway so much justice. Open up TikTok, you open up Instagram, you see us there. Everyone knows who we are. It's our colors or organization, or, this celebrity influencer said this and this one said that. We're really lucky that we have a very vocal fan base. And then when it comes to using the consumer education, people just want to know more, especially since we're telling everyone, hey, we're non-toxic. It's a whole lifestyle. You should jump on it. Get this in your kitchen and this in your kitchen. Furthering that education has really just created a really loyal fan base for us.
Yeah. And Daniel, I think like the same for you. I saw you, I just ordered from Carpe, right? I ordered a bunch of deodorant. The reviews are like, this stuff works. It's amazing, right? But I also see that there's like people talking to each other. Like your customers talk to each other in the reviews on how to apply it and like what to expect. And like whole Reddit threads around it.
Yes, it is very interesting. So I think unlike Caraway, our product is a lot like lower value, right? So the Caraway customers doing a lot of research before they buy the product. Ours are very much like, oh, like my armpits are sweating right now. Let me get this and try it out. And then all of our education is kind of post-purchase, right? How they can use the product regularly. You're supposed to apply your deodorant at night, actually, which most people don't know. Like you put it on after you take your shower at night or right before you go to bed. It helps it so you're not sweating during the day right after you put your deodorant on. And so there's a lot of interesting Reddit threads, interesting comments in our ads that are just people like talking to each other. Someone's like, hey, it didn't work for me. Like, are you applying it at night? Like, oh, I should probably try that. Right. Yeah. So it's,
I saw that like, yeah, you guys have these Reddit threads where most people are like crashing products on Reddit. A lot of times people are like, actually, cause you have so many scents for your deodorant. I was like, okay, which one? I shot you a text, you didn't respond to me. And so I had to go on Reddit and figure out which scent was the best one, because they're all kind of positioned as unisex. And so I was like, okay, what are people saying? Because I don't want to have to return these, but hopefully I got some good ones.
Larry, you stop telling people that people don't answer your text messages.
Yeah, you both.
You say that to you?
That's what I should have said.
And I'm like, you're gonna be known as that.
That's what I should have said. I got you both on here because neither of you answered text messages, and I figured this was the one way to both talk to you about your products.
I just got an invite from Larry on Slack, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, Larry? Just during work one day. He's like, you didn't answer my text.
I was like, you didn't answer my text message. This is a good transition too, than just me calling you guys out with the confession that neither of you text me back. But so the next segment I like to call CX Confession Booth. And this is one where like, I think so many podcasts or conversations always focus on like how successful somebody is or whatever. Right. And I think we all make mistakes and we learn from something. And so I'm curious, like what's a slip up or pain that you've experienced and how you recovered? And Daniel, I want to start with you because you didn't come from CX and now you're in CX. So I'm kind of counting on you that you've probably made a big mistake with all these like amazing flows that you've created. I mean, Nancy's got like 8 years CX, so I feel like it's going to be back with fax machines or something. Yeah.
I only have 1 year under my belt, but I will say the biggest mistake was probably not anticipating the changes in ticket volume. That was one thing that we were never very good at. We would grow 20%, 30% here and there. And then we had a situation just in the last 2 months, we're out of stock of like everything right now just because we're blowing up. And when that happens, your ticket volumes start to increase a lot. And even though our SLA is like, we were trying to get back to customers within an hour. That's for the longest time. Like that's what we were doing. Once that starts to creep up a little bit, it gets out of hand. And just recently we had a point where it was like 2.5 days, 3 days to get back to a customer. And that's very, very upsetting to them. We had a customer even like text our co-founder about his subscription and getting a refund. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. I've gotten text messages before. I'm like, I don't know how our phone numbers are getting out there, but that's probably our biggest blunder recently, is just not anticipating that ticket volume increase and getting ahead of it. Because agents take 2 weeks to train, 3 weeks to train to get up to speed. And like, if you see one day, we're at 24-hour response times and it takes 3 weeks to catch up, then like you're screwed. So that's one thing that we've been working on, is like understanding like, okay, when we get a lot of new customers day one, we need to go ahead and start preparing for that for 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance. So
Yeah, that's a good one. I think out of stock is big. Like even given just like the weird inventory, like I know you're probably not as impacted by some of this inventory stuff that's happening right now, but like just other brands that are relying on overseas shipments for inventory, it's like out of stock happens quickly. And then how are you handling that influx of, and when I think when people want your product, then the bigger part is like, yeah, how are you communicating to them? People are going to be, and maybe Nancy, you have an answer for this too, but like people are going to be more forgiving when you tell them like, hey, sorry, your product is out of stock, but we're going to get the next shipment in X days. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Then just ghosting them, right?
Yeah, that's where honestly those automatic post purchase flows, and I will give Larry his cookies here. Shout out to Parcel App, comes into handy of being able to trigger some of those automatically versus manually.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
Parslab for sponsoring my episodes of this. So it's not a plug for Parslab, but thanks for bringing it up.
How natural.
Well then, Nancy, like what's something that you've made a mistake on, and how have you recovered from it?
What haven't I made a mistake on? I think this was probably about 2 years ago, and it's probably my most embarrassing one. I was dealing with someone, and it was one of those people that threatens the attorney general, and they're going to talk to blah, blah, blah. I was just going back and forth because I was just really like, this is not my fault. This is not Caraway's fault. This is solely your fault. It was definitely one of those heightened things where I'd send an email and I'd get a response in 5 minutes, which is the worst kind of customer because you know they're just sitting there to go back and forth with you. So at one point, I misgendered and I said, "Sir, I need you to speak to me with respect." And I copy and pasted our code of conduct, and they responded and they said, "How dare you misgender me? I am a ma'am." And I was just like, I literally have no excuse as to I had to own up to it. I was like, "I'm so sorry."
And
Honestly,
how do you come back with it?
and now I just make sure I don't gender anyone. You know, if they obviously, you know, are using their own pronouns, I'll use that. But it was a reminder to also make sure you take walks when you're talking to an angry customer. And now I will not answer the same customer within the hour. If they're on an escalation, I'll make sure I'm taking a walk around the block or laying on my floor, something.
Yeah. ChatGPT has helped with this a little bit too, because I'm like, can you say something really nice, please, and help me with this? So
Even I've had to use that for internal conversations with employees when I want to say something snarky back to a coworker. I'll be like, ChatGPT, please put this in a tone that is polite, acceptable.
Sometimes I'll copy and paste and I'll just ask it, like, how does this come off? If there's no context, how does this message come off?
Right. I think that's an interesting thing too, is like, for you guys, like there's a couple different things, like, because Caraway deals with gifting as well, right? Like you have people who are not only reaching out about their own personal order, but they're reaching out about orders that have been gifted to somebody, or like a wedding or a birthday or something, right? I'm sure people aren't buying deodorant for people's wedding, although sign me up for that, because like that's
you'd be surprised, actually.
Yeah.
You'd be very surprised.
In my Christmas stockings. So
yeah.
No joke, Larry. We have people reach out like, "Can you sponsor my bridal party and send us, 100 deodorants?" And we're like, "We can't, but here's a discount code." People get it for weddings all the time.
We just talked about this. So I had True Classic on the last episode, and Jordan shared that they had like kind of given somebody an order of t-shirts for their bachelor party or whatever, and now that went viral. They got like a bunch of impressions from it, and then now they literally get wedding invites all the time from people who are like, "Hey, can you send me a bunch of shirts for my..." That's like my new hack as I get deeper into e-commerce. I'm already married, but I'm just gonna send wedding invites to all my favorite brands and see what they send back, and then maybe I can get some free product.
Honestly,
or a nice
first, it was really cute because we get the same kind of requests. I know the one fun thing about CX is the gifting and the ability on our end. We have access to so much information. We can literally stalk your life. So we started getting more and more requests. And I was just like, let me look at people's registry to see if they actually have Caraway on it. They wouldn't even have our product on their registry. And they're asking for us to sponsor their entire bridal party or like donate to, their 100-person wedding. And it just got to the point. I have mixed feelings about it. So please don't do that, Larry.
Yeah, I think surprise and delight is such a powerful tool, like especially with, Mother's Day just passed. Like
Yeah.
I know Nancy, you did a big push for that through Caraway. But it can get taken advantage of really fast from people who are like, "Ooh, I want to be surprised and delighted as well." And then pretty soon it's like, "Oh, now I'm just getting a ton of sad stories in my inbox and requests for other things."
I think the worst are probably, Daniel, I don't know if you've gotten any of these. We get people who message us and they're like, "Oh, you give out free product for influencers and us, not us normal people. Like, can I get something for free?" And I'm like, I want to. I wish I could. I'm like, there's
I don't make that
a model
decision.
behind it. I'm not going to explain it to you, but there's a business model here.
Yeah, it is a little bit easier for us to do that. Like we don't do it all the time, but with, our cogs, it's a little bit cheaper than pots and pans. So
Hey, we have some
That's true.
towels.
it's true.
That is true. The first time I met Nancy, I placed a test order on their website to track their post-purchase experience. And she called me out and she's like, "You only ordered pot holders." I was like, "Yeah, but they were still pot holders that I kept and I still have them to this day." Okay, next segment, quick transition. Designer's Toolbox. Now, this is, Nancy, one where you cannot keep the name to yourself because we got to lay some like real knowledge here. So what's a tool or system that your team swears by to stay efficient and effective? This could be, Daniel, you've already name dropped your help desk platform, so you've got to think of a different one. You've jumped ahead on all these segments, but could be a technology, could be a flow, something that you guys are like, this has changed the game for us. So Nancy, I'll let you go first while Daniel thinks of more technology that he hasn't already named.
Yeah. So recently, I actually implemented Bridge with my team. I can't take full credit. I introduced, the SaaS tool to my company, and I was just like, "Hey, we should use this."
This is the QR code technology, right?
Yes. Essentially, Bridge is a QR code technology, and you can place it anywhere you want. We use it on our post-purchase experience in our boxes to, one, collect reviews from our retailers, but two, spread awareness that we actually offer a warranty on all of our products. So we kind of just implemented that as a test of everybody's on their phones. You see something to scan, you scan it right away. And it has really helped us improve that connection to our customers that aren't through our direct channels. So if anybody doesn't know, Caraway not only sells from carawayhome.com, but we're with all of our retailers at Target, Crate and Barrel, etc. And it's hard to bridge that gap sometimes because we're not going to market them after they buy from crateandbarrel.com. We don't have access to their information, but Bridge really bridges that gap, which is where I guess that name comes in. Go, Kate.
Yeah, now click for you. Do you guys have a different QR code for each retailer, or what's the value there?
Right now, it's the same retailer because it's difficult. We ship all from the same warehouse, so it's difficult to separate if it's from Amazon to Crate and Barrel to Macy's, etc. But we are exploring a lot of different techniques with that. One, for example, and second Parcel Lab drop over here. If you guys didn't know, I'm a Parcel Lab customer. We are exploring sending a post-purchase email within 45 days of somebody receiving their order with the QR code.
Nice.
That's all it is. So people have to go scan it, and then it'll open up and ask them to provide feedback on their experience with us and share any UGC that they might, want to share with us. Everyone loves to be featured on Instagram. So we are exploring that as another way to use Bridge QR codes. And I'm really excited for it because I would open up an email that just came, with a QR code. I want to know.
I mean, I think if I could be featured on like someone's Instagram, like opening my pots and pans and stuff, I'd send a video.
Right?
Daniel, what about you? What's something that you guys have implemented? I mean, I think you've got to have some good ones, right? Because you're a tech guy. Like, what's something that you've thrown in that's helped you?
Yeah, I have a lot here that I'm trying to decide between. Pre-purchase though, one of them, Clarity. If you don't have it on your website, you have to add it. It's a free product, which is even better. So I can drop it in
Love
Microsoft.
A free product.
I know it's Microsoft's free product, but essentially It records every customer interaction on your website. It's like a heat mapping tool. And there's a few of them. I mean, there's like Hotjar and other things, but Clarity's free. So I'd recommend Clarity. And every now and again, every week or so, you need to go in on your main landing page funnels and just see like, what are people clicking on? We had one really cool one recently where we have this landing page where people can like scratch off their deal. It's like a little scratch card.
Ooh.
And right above it, there's like a little call out bar. It just says like what sale it is. Everyone was clicking on the call out bar. and it didn't go anywhere. And so right when I realized it, I was like, that needs to be a button, right? And so we made it a button, and now, conversion rate immediately goes up. So yeah, it's paid itself back. Clarity's great. I guess another one on the payment failure side, as you start to grow, as a subscription brand, your payment failures start to get larger and larger total amount each month. I mean, there's some months where it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars in just like failed payments. So
Yeah.
we use Flycode. They're really good about this. So you should go check them out. They essentially optimize the times that you charge customers and send out emails to get their payment information back. And I've never thought, I sign up for subscriptions and I've never had a payment fail. And I was like, how is this even possible? It actually just happened to me. So I got the Cheers. I don't know if you guys seen the Cheers ads, but it's like the post, like the hangover aid. And I got on a subscription.
Another brand. Let's go. I might need that. I'm going to New York at the end of the month. Hangover aid called Cheers.
I got it. It is the best thing ever. So I don't even know them. I've never talked to them, but I'm going to plug them here. It's amazing. But my payment failed. My card is totally fine. It just didn't go through. And I'm like, I asked the Flyco guys, I'm like, why did this happen? And they're really good. They gave me an answer. So now I'm getting charged again.
So I think, great. It's not free anymore. That's one thing that I think is interesting is Nancy, we've talked about this before, but chargebacks, credit card fraud, obviously when people thought about fraud before, that was really what people focused on. Do you find, Daniel, with subscription, that credit card fraud is a big issue for you?
Yeah. Honestly, this is a great call out. So this is a big issue that we had with one customer, not even a customer, just a total scammer, where Shopify has fraud tagging for credit cards, right? And so you can see we have flags, and if something comes through and it's high fraud, we can block it and not send it. But within Recharge, you can add payment methods in there, and they don't tag it as fraud. And so this guy figured it out somehow and was just stealing people's credit card information and sending himself thousands of dollars in product. And all of them got charged back, of course. Yeah. And we lost all of the money. But I'm now we have a system for that as well, where we can start tagging oversized recharge orders and block customers from there. So that was a very interesting one. But
I know, I think fraud is getting so sophisticated. Obviously this isn't a segment, but Nancy, how does fraud and fraud prevention impact your CX at Caraway? Yeah,
I mean, kind of naturally, everyone wants to get free stuff. There's people that just work so hard to not have a job. I've seen scammers go as big as the dark web recently, where they're using it to create a whole network of just stealing from brands, getting one over. They're grabbing in normal customers. So for Caraway and myself, the biggest one I've ever dealt with is return fraud, in the sense of people have gotten to the point where I am hiring Daniel to place a large order using my information and send it to his house. From there, I'm going in and telling Caraway Home, hey, that wasn't me. That's not my address. Everything went through, but can't connect it to me, can you? And then, of course, I get the refund. And then Daniel either keeps the stuff, gives me money for it. There's a whole second part of that. Or what's then happening is I'm processing a return. And although Daniel has all the product, I in New York and he's in North Carolina, I'm sending it back from New York in empty boxes. And it's getting delivered to the warehouse. It's then tracked of I shipped it from North Carolina. I don't know what's wrong with UPS because it's saying it's shipped from New York. It's a whole thing. It's insane. It's so intriguing to dive into, but will give you a headache. People are trying so hard to get products one way or another, and keeping up with it just really involves a creative mind of thinking the absolute worst for no reason, but you also don't want that to affect how you're treating real customers.
Right.
Thankfully, we use no fraud, and we really are combating it from the beginning now, from the front of when a customer actually starts to place an order with us, and ensuring it all makes sense of, is their shipping address matching their billing address? And we're very keen on that. Or making sure it's not using a new email address, and it's an email address that's been around for a few years, which, if you're 18 and you just made an email, tough luck. But no fraud has definitely saved us from a lot of fraud that's been going on.
Yeah, I think fraud is like the one thing that I'm talking about all the time with brands.
No one really thinks about it. It's like,
Yeah.
is this going to be a huge loss until you see it one day? And it's too late. It's already gone to the point where it's a problem.
Yeah. The worst part is that Shopify still charges you the fees on the fraudulent. And I'm like, guys, you can't. Someone just ordered $10,000 worth of stuff. We canceled it, and there you go. We lose $250 or whatever.
They still get their credit card processing fees.
I will say shout out to Carpe because they like give you insurance for anyone who like gets through and is fraudulent. So I love Shop Pay. Everyone use Shop Pay.
Okay, we just put in a ton of good design toolboxes, like more than one. So I think that's great. We got a bunch of good shots. Okay, this is a new segment that I want to try out with you guys. So we're gonna see how this goes. This is like CX leaders react. I researched a bunch of stories. So these are like real things that happen, which I think they're pretty general enough that they've probably happened to you guys. So I'm going to read you a scenario and then you tell me how you react. And you guys can both answer to this. So this one is sort of dealt towards Daniel and Carpe. So it's called the melted mess part 2. A customer places their second order of beauty products from a trending brand. The first time they were upset that the packaging sat in a hot mailbox and everything inside was melted as they didn't get a notification of delivery. Support offered a replacement. This time they ordered again, same issue. Product arrived warped, leaking, and unusable. They send a photo with a snarky note. Glad to see you're still in the business of shipping goo. And this is like a real story. So like a real customer. Curious, like how do you handle repeated CX failures where the root cause may be environmental?
This is actually a really hard one, Larry. I don't even know how to answer this. What we would do personally at Carpe is we would literally just keep sending it to them, right? Like, I think, we want to win them back as a customer. At some point, you have to cut it off. Like, I guess after 4 or 5 times of it just melting in their mailbox, you're like, I'm sorry, you can't be a customer. But we would just keep trying to send it to them. So we actually have this issue happen to us a few years ago with a different formula of a product. And yes, when it gets very hot, people in, Arizona, Texas, like their product would start melting on the way there. And so we started testing products. Literally, we have an oven in our office that we test products with. They're like, how hot does a FedEx truck get? And so we'll put our products in there for like days at a time and see if they fall apart. So that's where we really solved the issue is on the product.
Yeah. Right? Okay. And that was kind of my question is like, do you shift your fulfillment strategy or your CX strategy? Because like, are these one-off issues that this brand has? Like, is this just a random customer that's not checking their mail in Arizona? Right. Because I think the big thing is like, as a brand, you can't be everything for everybody. Right. You're going to have I have some chocolate brands that I talk to and they deal with melted products all the time. Right. And they try to figure it out. The only way to solve it is dry ice. And then all of a sudden your shipping is like $20 and nobody wants to pay $20 for shipping. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. I think from that scenario, like how do you guys keep like a frustrated customer from churning without overcompensating them? I think that's the bigger piece. Like you said, hey, we'll keep sending them product, but like do you think there's ever a time where you guys can say like, hey, you're not the right customer for us?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. We've started to, have to do this is like, break up with your customer. It happens sometimes, right? Like this doesn't mean you're a bad brand. You have hundreds of thousands of customers. But, when someone's sucking up a lot of time and they have no value as a customer, then it's like, you should probably go buy something from, Walmart.
Yeah.
As your dealer, right? Like at some point we're going to be in Target or in Walmart or any of these and you guys can go there when it's ready. But for now, you got to order your Old Spice. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, I think that's perfect is like you can break up with your customer. I think that's like, is that something that you agree with, Nancy, that like not every customer is going to be the perfect customer, or do you guys try to be perfect for everybody at Caraway?
No, I've dumped a few customers. The biggest thing, and I think it's, kind of related to real life, is transparency and being honest with them of like what's going to happen and what's happening, which is kind of funny. But also, you want to tread lightly and make sure that if you are firing a customer, it's for a valid reason and you can kind of back up that reasoning itself.
Yeah. I think that's like, it's not me, it's you. Pro breakup tips. Okay, here's my Caraway scenario. So a customer orders a full cookware set, pots, pans, lids, organizer, excited to get their new cooking hobby started. The website shows one order confirmation and one expected delivery date, but then day one, a box arrives with just the lids. Day two, another box with two pans. Day three, a final box shows up, but this is actually the wrong color. The customer is confused and writes into customer service, "Am I getting punked? I thought I ordered cookware, not clues to a treasure hunt. No one told me this would be delivered in pieces when I ordered." So, what systems or communications, Nancy, would you put in place to manage these split shipment issues?
Wow, you gave me like 8 issues in one, Larry. First and foremost, definitely checking the post-purchase flow and seeing how those are triggering off. And then also making sure if orders are shipping out in multiple packages, it's very clear and transparent when you're reading that order confirmation. Making sure you're noting that also in your FAQs is very, very important. And if you have it set up, some type of customer account where they can log in. Because let's face it, I hate emails. My personal email inbox is probably like 8,000. And I just wait for packages to arrive. It's probably the worst thing in the world. I know. I just wait for the packages to arrive. I know they're going to come. If I get, my shirts and I know my pants are coming, it's like, okay, it's gonna show up at some point.
And you
A lot
live
of
in New York. Like, how do you know it's not like stolen off your porch or something,
I have a
right?
very good building. Like, I don't really lose, like, packages don't get lost, knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't change. But essentially, yeah, it's just making sure, your post-purchase experience is clean and clear for the customer. And then figuring out how you can also give them self-service options. So whether that's on live chat where they can log in and just say, hey, where's my order? Shopify is all connected. They can get a response very easily where it's not taking 2 to 3 days. Wismo is something I think almost every company can automate. So again, answering the customers as soon as that question appears. And yeah, as for
So
the
you
raw
think like,
colors and stuff, that's an added layer and, compensation that you want to provide to customers. But
yeah, so you think like leaning into the messaging and education on the front side versus like really trying to figure out maybe more of the operational pieces is just as important.
yeah, specifically, for Caraway Home, we have 2 different warehouses, and a lot of our bundles have to ship in multiple packages. Our 4-piece cookware set alone, aka our 12-piece cookware set, is 35 pounds. We can't
Yeah.
add anything else to that box. I personally had to take it apart in my hallway and bring it up I live on the 2nd floor, one by one, because I couldn't carry up that box. So when you have a bundle and it has the minis a part of it, and let's say they're also getting the strainers, all of those have to ship separately. And, the customers just won't be able to get into their house otherwise. So unfortunately, on the operations side, we can't put those into one big overbox and ship it in one package.
Yeah.
So it comes to the clarity of the system that we're using for the post-purchase emails, making sure it's clear that this is package 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and the availability for customers to access their different tracking numbers in an easy to view way. Personally, I'm not one that likes an email that has too many different words in it because I'm looking for one thing when it comes to
Because
that.
you don't read your 8,000 emails anyway.
Yeah, I do a lot of online shopping in my defense, but yeah, it's really difficult to make sure that customers are reading everything when they have too much to read. So less is more in my experience for post-purchase flows itself.
So if brands want to get in touch with Nancy, direct mail is what we're taking from this segment.
No, my work email is beautifully at 3 right now. So it's my personal email.
Okay.
I'm the same way. Inbox 0 for work, personal 8,000 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to date myself here, but I have like a prime email. I have larrytoma@yahoo.com. Anybody can email me because I have like 20,000, but I've had this since I was like a teenager. And everyone's like, why are you not on Gmail? I'm like, because I can't do like Larry910 @Gmail. I need my prime email address. But it's way flooded with spam. Like if somebody emailed me, I have to know it's coming and I have to look for it. So I do love now that like Yahoo, Gmail will like scan your shipments and they'll tell you you have one coming. So I don't even have to look for the emails anymore, right? So as long as the emails are good and they have all the data in them, then it can pull the information in from it. Okay, so last segment, and this one I think kind of can fit into the question that you had earlier, Nancy, around like a tool that maybe you don't like, but we won't do a tool you don't like, is the idea of the CX Mythbuster. And I think I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I'm talking to brands all the time. I think there's this idea or there's these things that float around where everyone's talking about it and people who are actually in the day to day are like, that's totally a lie. So, what's one myth about customer experience or even small teams, since that's sort of the theme of the episode, that you guys would like to debunk?
Okay, I have one. That CX is only the responsibility of the support team. I think in reality, CX is company wide. So every department, whether it's product, marketing, finance, they all play a role in the actual customer journey and how we shape it. So that's definitely, I'd say, a big, big myth of the CX world. Along with, we are way more than just emails. When I meet people that don't work in e-com and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, customer experience. And they're like, oh, you answer emails all day. And I'm just like, it's so much more than that. It's a whole world.
Right.
Yeah.
I think like so many people right now are like a lot of brand owners. So like any brand owners that listen to this, like they are so focused on customer acquisition costs, they don't realize like CX plays such a huge role in lifetime value, right? Your customers have to sometimes order from you 2-3 times before you really recoup that acquisition cost. And they forget that like CX plays a big role in that. Like if you drop the ball on your customer experience when somebody buys from you, then they're not going to come back. And I think a lot of people that run brands also think that like, oh, well, the CX team is just responding to emails all day. And it's like, no, they're making sure that people aren't speaking poorly about you online, that they're coming back, that they're having a good experience, that they're not going to the news.
I actually have a good one now, Larry.
Okay.
I just thought of it. So one of them that I hear from a lot of platforms and people in customer service is that you want to like reduce the amount of conversations that you have with the customer, reduce the amount of messages that you have with the customer. We had this issue. This is before I stepped on as like the head of customer service, where we were trying to just finish tickets as quickly as possible. And what happens when you give offshore agents the ability to finish tickets as quickly as possible is when a customer says cancel and refund, they cancel and refund and end the ticket, right? And so I think this is a big myth of like, I've heard people say it like, oh yeah, when someone reaches out and says, cancel my subscription, this should be a response of like, okay, hey, it's canceled. No, right? You have to find the underlying reason, because if 80-90+% of people like your product, then they should be on a subscription, right? Like that's the best way to get the product. So I think that's a huge myth, is like, we want to have a conversation with our customers and we can spend more money to do that and increase our LTV. And we saw that as like a direct response when we started having longer conversations with customers. So
yeah, I think maybe because we're in the industry, we're so used to like, I don't really want to reach out and like go back and forth, but there is a large portion of people that want their entire day to be interacting with real customer service people back and forth and like picking up the phone and talking to people, chatting with people, emailing with people. I think that's true. I think that to me, especially if I was upset, like I tend to not have bad experiences with brands, but if I did have a bad experience with a brand, I think being able to communicate with somebody and not just have them rush to give me my money back is powerful.
Because then you lose that customer forever, right? If you give them a refund and cancel their subscription, like they're going to go to Walmart and get their deodorant next. Like they're never going to come back.
Right.
So,
So
it's going to feel transactional. Like,
Yeah. There's no personality there. There's no like, hey, how can we make this better? How can we win you back? Right? How can we keep you?
Yeah.
No, just here's a refund. Here's a cancel. Like, fine, get away. Right? And so it's not
Caraway
how you want to treat your customers.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of goes into maybe a third myth. Here's a bonus for you, Larry.
Okay.
When it comes to fast response times aren't always what customers want. They want it to be empathetic and thought out. And they sometimes, to Daniel's point, want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. This is what I hate about AI, is that every time I'm like, can you guys make the response take a little bit longer? I'm like, no, it's going to respond in 30 seconds. I'm like, it's not good. Like they know that it's just not going to be personal at all. Right. So
that's to the point where we were responding so fast and it was under an hour and people would accuse our real humans of being AI. So we had like kind of a roadblock and we were like, okay, agents, like, let's wait 60 minutes before our first response time so people know we're real. It was kind of an insane aha moment for us, but AI,
the real thing.
Yeah. When it's too fast, I think customers actually get alarmed now because they either feel like it's an auto trigger, which they're learning that word of, or AI itself.
Or this is something that happens all the time and you guys already have a canned response for it for me in 30 seconds. Like that's what I would think. If I had a problem with my order and somebody responded to me in 30 seconds, I'd be like, oh, this must happen all the time with this brand, versus like being like, oh, this maybe is something that was generated by an AI agent or is part of their great customer service.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Like, that's kind of the whole idea is like, hey, these are things where I think just helps the community understand better about misconceptions, because you guys are in the trenches day in day and dealing with this. And like, you guys talk about voice of the customer all the time, right? And each of your customers are unique. But for me, it's like each brand is different. Like, that's why I started this podcast. Like, how Carpe approaches something is different than how Caraway approaches something. And I think sometimes we put everybody in the same box of like, well, you guys are all customer experience. You're dealing with upset customers. It's all sort of the same thing. And people think that there's this one size fits all approach to CX, and there really isn't, right? And if you are looking at CX as a one size fits all approach, then you're doing it wrong. You're not building a community. You're not building a brand. Like, people love your products, but they also love the way that you treat them, whether it's e-commerce or in retail, right? Like, that's my big thing, is that I think people don't realize that as much. And that's what my hope is, that as people watch these, they realize like, you guys all have your own opinions and your own voice. As we wrap this up, I think one thing that I'd like to just kind of say is like, is there one piece of advice, something that we didn't cover in the last couple segments, that you're like, if you were talking to another lean CX team, maybe a brand that's growing, that you would just say like, this is the best way to scale your impact or grow your business, grow your CX? What would you throw?
Yeah. I think number one for me is you have to go in and read customer tickets all the time. I think not a lot of people do this, but go in and read 100 tickets, 200 tickets a week, and just understand what the customers are saying and how you're responding to them, and just try to make that better all the time. Because you uncover a lot when you start reading through customer tickets, and you're like, oh my God, why did you say that? Like, okay, let's change strategy, right? And so I think you get a lot of insights from going into the weeds.
So you're saying what the customer's saying and how the agents are responding as well? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Your agents are not responding correctly most of the time, especially when you're doing thousands of tickets and you have 30 plus agents. Like, it's tough. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of different tickets. And, the more you can educate your team on that, the better. And so, yeah, you have to get in the weeds. You have to read tickets.
For a growing, small scaling CX team, I'd probably tell them, do not use out of the box, reporting. Obviously, CSAT and NPS tells you a lot, but it's only a piece of the puzzle. When you're looking at what CX reporting is, it's everything together and that story that it tells, and not an individual number. So, you can have an agent that's producing a 2.5 CSAT, but is it the agent, or is it the product and the process that people are actually leaving feedback on? So that's what I would say.
I love it. Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for being on the episode.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Larry.
If people send you a LinkedIn, you'll accept it, right?
Yeah.
People say so, just as long as it's not a text message or a personal email.
Yes.
Add you guys on LinkedIn.
So at one point, I misgendered and I said, "Sir, I need you to speak to me with respect." And they responded and they said, "How dare you misgender me? I am a ma'am." And I was just like...
I'm wondering now if we need to cut this segment out. I'm like, now we just gave everyone the exact plan on how to scam us. No.
Bleep.
I got you both on here because neither of you answered text messages, and I figured this was the one way to both talk to you about your products.